Hello everybody! Before we begin, I would like to let you all know that I have a book out. It is called Not Quite Dead, and it is the story of a woman whose fiancé passed away a year ago, having dreams where he tells her that he's still alive and trying to use said dreams to get him back. It is available on Amazon in both paperback and ebook formats, so if you've ever wanted to support me financially, then this is your opportunity to do so. Link is in the description. Hey gang, it's Squill, and we're finally here. Not just the final Adventure Time miniseries, but my personal favorite of the three. Elements is so much fun, man, and so underrated. It has so many fun character interactions, fantastic moments for Finn, Jake, Ice King, Betty, and LSP, some outstanding backgrounds and character designs, and it's probably the funniest of the miniseries too. I mean, hell, my top 2 on this list would also make my top 20 of the entire series. And it's a shame because I don't really think it gets the same recognition that Stakes and Islands get. I feel like it's always just seen as the other Adventure Time miniseries, and I never really got why. So hopefully this video can shed a bit of light on why I think Elements is the best Adventure Time miniseries. Elements was easily the hardest miniseries to rank, as a lot of these episodes are very close together, which really just shows how consistently great this miniseries is. This is every Adventure Time Elements episode ranked. At number 8, we have Hero Heart. Unlike Stakes and Islands, Elements didn't really have an obvious choice for last place. I ended up going with Hero Heart because I find it the least memorable of Elements episodes, as it mostly serves as our transitional episode into the finale. But that said, there's still a ton of great stuff in this episode. I think LSP makes for a pretty likable protagonist here, although I do find her funnier when bouncing off of Finn. I talked about it in my Betty video, but I really love this moment between her and Ice King. Her seeing the tiniest sliver of Simon finally come out, only for her to be immediately crushed by the reminder that that version of Simon is gone. I really love how Finn breaks out of his elementification here. We get a nice little showcase of Finn and PB moments. I really love that it ends with this completely platonic moment between them from the Pajama War. Just a great way to show how much their dynamic has evolved over the years. They really nail just how creepy this ending is. All these characters singing as they crowd around Finn, ugh. So if Hero Heart is the weakest episode of Elements, then that really just shows how fantastic this miniseries is as a whole. At number 7, we have Skyhooks. Skyhooks really nails its creepy vibes and atmosphere. There's just something so deeply unsettling about Candified Ooh, especially before we know what's going on next episode. I mean, just look at Tree Trunks, man. She is so freaky here. This episode does a great job setting up Jake's arc throughout the first half of the miniseries. His nonchalant attitude towards Candified Ooh foreshadows his susceptibility to elementification really nicely. And there's some great banter here between him and Finn. I love that the bulk of their dialogue in this episode consists of the two debating how okay they should be with Candified Ooh. And of course we get some great BMO lines before he's taken out of the miniseries completely. It's also a lot of fun seeing the Candified versions of all these characters, with Marshmalline the Campfire Queen being my favorite of the bunch. Great design and really funny name. The reveal of PB being the tower is also really great. Skyhooks is a very strong start to the miniseries and a solid episode overall. At number 6, we have Slime Central. Slime Central is such a fun episode. I love the idea of Slime Kingdom being turned into basically just a big skating rink. It makes for such a unique setting. The episode makes great use of characters who don't normally get a ton of screen time, like Breakfast Princess and Party Pat. The dance sequences in this episode aren't amazingly animated or choreographed, but they're still a lot of fun. It's really funny just how seriously everyone takes this dance competition. Everyone except Jake, that is. I really like that this is both the episode where Jake leaves the group and where LSP joins it, marking a pretty big status quo shift going into the second half of the miniseries. Jake's absorption feels really well built up throughout both this episode and the first half of Elements, with his go-with-the-flow attitude being on full display. It's a good bit of tonal whiplash too, with just how light the episode was beforehand. And the episode also does a great job foreshadowing LSP's role in the climax of the miniseries, with the great reveal that she faked being a slime person the entire time. Slime Central is both a very entertaining episode, and one that does a good job shaking up the miniseries. At number 5, we have Skyhooks 2. Skyhooks 2 is an episode with a lot going on between the LSP and the Betty stuff, but I think it does a great job balancing its two major storylines. I really love the way this episode wraps up Betty's arc and elements. She spent the whole miniseries trying so hard to get used to Ice King as he is, but she just can't bring herself to get past her memories of Simon. And it's tragic, because she knows deep down that this is a bad idea. But she's just so far gone at this point that there's no real going back for her. What she's doing could end up hurting pretty much everyone, but you still just feel so bad for her anyways. She's such a well-written character. I really love this Ice King moment too, him realizing his own self-worth. It's a nice little showcase of his development throughout the series. The LSP stuff in this episode is pretty great as well. Much like Jake's absorption, it's just another aspect of elements that feels so well built up and paid off. And it's just awesome seeing LSP get this big hero moment after being treated as a joke throughout most of the show. Her being the anti-elemental is just a cool development and gives her character some real purpose. And of course, I just adore this Finn and Jake moment at the end. It's so damn sweet and feels so rewarding after them being separated throughout the second half of the miniseries. Skyhooks 2 is a great finale to Elements and has a lot of my favorite individual moments of the miniseries. At number 4, we have Happy Warrior. Happy Warrior is low-key one of the best looking episodes of Adventure Time. The backgrounds here are just so detailed, and I love the designs for all the fire people too. The blue glow they give the new Flame Kingdom just looks so damn appealing to me. I also just love watching Finn get slowly consumed by rage as the episode goes on. It feels very well placed, coming directly after Jake's absorption in Slime Central. Finn is already in a very vulnerable and emotional state. So pair that up with a place where everyone is fighting each other, and you get a far more emotionally unstable Finn than normal. And going back to the visuals, I really love Finn's elemental design. Phoebe's big dragon form is great too. But I think my favorite aspect of this episode is the Finn and LSP dynamic. They just have such great banter in this episode. It's such a fun pairing. LSP asking Finn if he does squads might be my favorite line in the entire miniseries. Is it a hot take to say this might be her best episode in the entire series? I know she doesn't really have much of an arc in this one, like in Gotcha or Bad Timing, but she just has so many great one-liners. Happy Warrior is just a fantastic episode on both a dramatic and comedic level. At number 3, we have Winter Light. Y'all know I love the Finn, Jake, and Ice King dynamic, and this episode certainly delivers on that front. There's always just something so damn wholesome about watching the two boys team up with Ice King. Ice King is kinda awesome in this episode. He feels so much more competent than he usually does, coming up with an actual plan to retrieve Betty. And said plan actually works, we love that for him. But the episode doesn't skimp out on Ice King's usual quirkiness in the slightest. In fact, his reaction to Finn wearing Jake's sweater is one of my all-time favorite Ice King moments. Tom Kenny's blood-curdling scream here is just so funny. The episode does such a great job making Ice King feel like an important part of the team, without sacrificing what makes the character so fun. I really love the overall vibes of this episode too. Much like Happy Warrior, this is just another really beautiful episode on a visual level. Something about the lighting and the little snow effect they have, it's so simple but so striking. I also love the use of the licensed song Blue Magic here, it adds a lot to the atmosphere. And I love Carol getting a reappearance too, she's a very funny character. One of the only criticisms I do have of Elements is that I really wish they didn't sideline Patience so much. I feel like she had a lot of potential as a character. But I do like her appearance in this episode. Her being so depressed here makes for great contrast from how upbeat she was in previous episodes. And we get some more Jake foreshadowing in this one, with him almost turning into an ice elemental. I feel like kind of a broken record at this point, just another great piece of setup and eventual payoff. Winter Light is just an incredibly fun episode, can't get enough of this one. At number 2, we have Bespoken For. And speaking of really fun Ice King heavy episodes, between all the episodes and stakes, islands, and elements, Bespoken For is probably the one that feels the least like it belongs in a miniseries. As by and large, this episode kinda just acts as a day in the life of Ice King, but it's kinda awesome? I guess I'm biased here, seeing as Ice King is my favorite fictional character of all time. But come on, you can't tell me there isn't something so inherently charming about watching him birdwatch, or go shopping with life-giving Magus. He's just one of those characters who can make pretty much everything funny. Like, I love that he tells Finn and Jake every little mundane detail about his day before getting to the actual important stuff. And the character is so inherently likable that you genuinely want to see his date with Betty be successful. And speaking of Betty, her reintroduction here is definitely the highlight of the episode. I love how much they amped up her insanity here. She says and does things here that even Weird Ice came out at certain points. But again, you just can't help but feel bad for her, because she's only like this as a result of her attempts to get Simon back. Ice King and Betty are perfect foils to each other, as while they've both gone insane as a result of MMS, Ice King is a comedic character with tragic elements, whereas Betty is a tragic character with comedic elements. And I like seeing Betty realize how similar she and Ice King actually are. This episode does a great job setting up Betty's arc for the rest of the miniseries, with her attempting to meet Ice King on his level. Also, Ice King looks fly as hell in his bespoke suit. Great look for him. Bespoken For is just a wonderful episode. It's one of Ice King's best appearances, and one of Betty's too. This one was very close to making number 1. And at number 1, we have Cloudy. I love Cloudy. I've championed this episode since the day I first watched it. It's an incredibly simple episode. Finn and Jake being stuck on this cloud separate from Ice King, Betty, and all the element stuff. But it is absolutely wonderful. This episode's placement is absolutely perfect, coming smack dab in the middle of the miniseries. This nice little bottle episode that gives us a break from the crazy stuff, and lets us just hang out with Finn and Jake for a little bit. I don't think the hypothetical version of this episode that was planned to air in Season 1 would have been nearly as impactful as what we got here. But this isn't just a chill hangout episode, it also gives the show an opportunity to further explore Finn and Jake as characters. We learn that Finn feels a little guilty for not being in Ew to stop Patience's plan, and that a part of him is a little nervous about Fern usurping him, a fear that is not completely unfounded. But we also learn that Jake often represses his own anxieties for the sake of Finn. That he too is stressed about the way things are going, but has to keep it hidden because he's the big brother. I love this Jake development especially because it makes you think about his relationship with Finn in a whole different light. Anytime Jake seems calm while in a tough situation, that might just be a cover for his true anxieties. This dynamic is even on display at the start of the episode, with Jake calming down Finn when he's stressing Betty out. And as a side note, I love these haircut therapy sessions. The implication that this is something Finn and Jake have been doing since they were kids is just so adorable. Even the little song in this episode, while not really that good out of context, just makes for such a sweet moment between the pair that it kinda just wins you over anyway. I also love that this episode comes right before Slime Central. It makes Jake's loss in that episode feel so much more impactful, since this episode basically serves as just one big reminder of why Jake is important to Finn. Cloudy is just a lovely episode. It's one of those episodes that works really well as both a standalone episode, and as a part of a greater arc. It's a bit of a comfort episode for me. One of those ones I could just watch over and over and over again and never get sick of. One of my all-time favorite Adventure Time episodes, and my favorite episode of Elements. And with that, I've now ranked every episode of every Adventure Time miniseries. These videos were a lot of fun to make. As I said before, this is an era of the show that I look back on very fondly, and it was a nice way to tide me over until season 2 of Fiona and Cake comes out. Please let me know how you'd rank elements in the comments, as well as what your favorite Adventure Time miniseries is. Have a good one, and Squill out.